Well, it's 11 a.m. Pacific time on Monday morning, and so that means that it's Monday morning quarters back. This is the match analysis show where we go over recent fighting game footage. A, it is Monday. B, 11 a.m. in the morning. C, recent fighting game footage is what we're going to be looking at. We're looking at Street Fighter V from the CPT in Central America, aka the Caribbean is really what it was. And this is going to be between Mono and Mena RD. It will be winners finals between those two. It was a really close set. It came down to literally the final decision. And it was a lot of fun. Super, super fun to watch. It's a matchup that you don't see very often, except for specifically between those two players. Very rare to come across it otherwise. And so that's part of why I'd like to check it out a little bit more. To do that, we're going to go to UltraDavid up in the press box. That's right, lead analyst UltraDavid up here in the press box. Thanks a lot to David on the field for throwing it up. It's a nice day out there. Look at this here in Northern California at the UC Berkeley Memorial Stadium, of course. This is one of the oldest active stadiums in the country for college football, and that's what we're here for today. As you know, you can see the people out here on the field. Up here in the press box, it's nice and toasty. It's actually already really hot. I'm starting to sweat already, which means let's get into the game as soon as possible so you don't have to look at me anymore. It will be, as David on the field said, Mena RD versus Mono. Two players who I really enjoy watching. Two really good dudes. Two people who use characters that are relatively unique, relatively rare. And so this matchup is really fun to watch, in part because it's just not a common thing, but also it was a fun one too because, as David on the field said, it goes down to the very final decision. Let's hop into the game. Got a nice shot of the Campanile there. Here we go. So this was, I believe, UltraDavid and Ringe on commentary. It was cool to listen to them. You know, always cool to hear both of those dudes do commentary. It's something I don't hear very often. You don't hear very much UltraDavid these days. Well, what's up with that guy? Well, where is he? I hope he's doing all right. I don't see him as often as I used to. I hope he's okay. Anyway, let's continue. Let's hop in. Again, it will be Mena RD with Birdie and Mono with Fang. This is winners finals.
And in the past, I've been fascinated at how Mena RD uses...
So it's a real funky matchup. Again, the way that we do things here in Monday Morning Quarterback, we'll look at the round by round, and then if there's anything interesting, we'll go back and rewind after the round's over. It's just important to watch things as they happen sometimes, rather than breaking up moments constantly. Will be plenty of time to do that afterward. It's a weird matchup because you have these two characters that have rangy normals. Two characters who, at the same time, really thrive on getting in against each other. Neither one has great defensive options. They can both snowball well.
Make him guess for a game after this? Yes, sir.
Nice. Tech. Okay, Mena's alive. And he's a big threat.
Nice. All right. Yeah, there's a little bit to talk about here. So let's go back and check out this round.
I thought it passed. It's very interesting to see that there was more mid-range and off.
Down forward fierce is a big rangy tool. Keep in mind that Poison's going to be a big deal in this matchup. Birdie is not a super fast character. He certainly has some ways to rely on to move forward, but he's not a fast character, and so Poison will eat quite a bit of his life. Pay attention to that.
If he can keep what
again, that range. It's a little bit further. Maybe right here. After this, yeah. This range right here is a range that's kind of like just outside of what Birdie wants. This is just outside of like stand strong range for him. Roundhouse, that kind of thing, at which point he becomes really, really scary. But Fang has that extra range with things like Stand Strong. We saw Down Forward Fierce already. Down Strong is another tool. Stand Fierce is a tool that he has at this range. And of course, he can back up. He can set out a carpet. Guys, he's got all these tools. The question is, how does Birdie navigate all those tools? We saw in this first round that it just didn't go there very well, right? But it, again, was not only about getting in, right? It's also about getting knocked down and having to deal with this character Fang. This right here is a really important thing to watch as this series goes on too. So after this knockdown, after this tech, check out the button choice from Mono. He's going to do stand medium kick. It's 5-frame button. And the first pivot, both hits now are cancelable. And so it's a very good button to challenge with post throw tech if you think the opponent's going to press a button. Here's what happens. Right, down jab, but stand medium kick. Go beat it out. There's the priority system in action for you. And so that's a very important post-throw tool. We'll see Mono use that, but we'll also see Mena adapt to that. So already in this first round, we're kind of seeing some things that will be important over this set.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
In that moment there, of course, that's a low overhead or throw meaty situation that Fang has, and Mena is just so good defensively. You know, I mean, again, they also know each other really well. They're both from the Caribbean. They've played each other a lot, both online and offline. So there's not a lot of mysteries here between the two in terms of character options. Just a question of which ones to bring on at which time. Yeah, still gonna get hit. So a lot of this round has been Mono with the kind of zoning and Birdie getting in mechanic. That's sort of the mentality that they're both using here. Again, check out that range, right? I mentioned that range where it's about, yeah, stand down forward fierce, stand strong, crouching strong. It's a range where Birdie's not quite as effective as some other spots. That was a pretty sick setup, though.
Very cute. Is this enough?
Oh, more than enough. EX headbutt, putting them down for the count.
So we really just saw like super effective bulldogging from Mena RD. You know, there wasn't anything super fancy, although the setup was cool. Or, you know, go back and look at the setup, and maybe Mono shouldn't have jumped. But other than that, a lot of it was just Mena doing what he's doing right here, walking up, staying just outside of a certain range, knowing that he could set up can.
Very cute. Is this enough?
By the way, can's going to be a big deal too. Can be very effective. Going to be very important, maybe I should say, in how the matchup goes. Yeah, again, that same range. So Mena RD knows, well, he'd love it if EX had hit. Even if it does not, it still pushes the opponent back. I don't think Fang has a punish for it. Only a couple characters do.
Never with like what Fang players are really interested in. Fang players are always like, oh,
wow,
cool, you know,
Stan Roundhouse is plus. And versus 4-frame Birdie, that's it's actually plus enough to guarantee something else. So Mono tried to take a turn. We'll go back and look at that moment in a second. But again, this is a situation of players who are not coming at this against each other for the first time. They both know each other's tendencies really well. In fact, the weekend before this, they had played, and Mono beat Mena RD 3-0, I should have mentioned earlier. Although usually Mena RD has beaten Mono. So with that bulldogging, right, keep in mind that that's a major strategy Mena RD's using. Bulldogging meaning just walking up and blocking, trying to keep a certain spot on screen. Yeah, just like this, exactly like that, right? Walking around, trying to find a whiff punish, trying to find a way in. With V-Trigger, that's going to be a lot more effective. So once that happens, you could see that Mono's trying to keep this further distance. He's less comfortable at knowing where, right. Yeah, an extra damage in V-Trigger. So that's game number one. And what I like about this already is that we're seeing the kind of main strategies already shown. Again, two players who know each other well, know the character matchup well. You have Mena RD, lots of bulldogging, you know, keeping his eye on things at the same time, looking for whiff punishes. He did have anti-air when he needed it. So it's not just a case of him moving forward. And oftentimes when people move forward, they're not also paying attention to defensive things like anti-airs. Mena's doing that, right? He's so good. He's doing that. So we're seeing his main strategy. We're seeing the main strategy out of Mono as well, with keeping a certain range is what he'd like to do. Or if he gets a knockdown, if he gets a throw, something like that, he can snowball really well, right? So it's a run, it's a distance game with the option to go in once a knockdown happens. So game number two. You know, notice as well, one thing I like that Mena does, not just in this matchup, but in others, is how he jumps with Birdie. Birdie's got this weird floaty jump. But he can do it at a range where things like jump roundhouse will connect, but if he presses nothing, then he's fine. He's at a pretty far range. So he'll often jump at this very, very interesting range. Oh, forgot to talk about roundhouse earlier. We'll go back and talk about it after this round. Again, remember that post throw tech medium kick? Didn't end up working out after that, but right? We've seen that twice so far. So let's go back and look at what I think was roundhouse around here. Oh, no.
Wow, waking up with Chain and he was right about it.
Yeah, definitely you can see these players have played each other quite a bit.
Right, here we go. Roundhouse. Okay, so let's talk about this situation. Roundhouse is +1. Birdie's got a 4-frame button. so does Fang. So if Fang and Birdie both press their 4-framer afterward, Fang wins. Versus 3-frame characters, it's not as effective for Fang, but this is a match where that works. So in the previous game, Mono, knowing that, and knowing that Mena knows that, went for roundhouse into roundhouse, trying to steal a big turn. Mena denied that by pressing whatever it was. This time Mono's like, okay, I go back to level 1 here, reset the situation, roundhouse into jab to blow up whatever it was. But Mena had already expected that and was ready to block. But that game of what to do after a roundhouse is definitely a big deal here.
Yeah, the EX wasn't there. If it would have been EX, most definitely would have been a stun.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
trying to steal too much of a turn there.
Job.
Again, Mena knows the matchup. He knows the character matchup really well.
Mono was just hoping that Mena would sit.
I don't know if anybody in the world knows Birdie versus Fang better than these two, because it's just such a rare matchup.
Looking like the genius that he's been touted to be.
Right, again, medium kick. Again, medium kick after the tech. And Mena's been hit by it each time.
Honestly, if that's the only punish you're gonna eat.
So here's that range. You see Mena with the same style, walking up to a certain spot, just bulldogging there, trying to harass. He's in there now.
I was gonna say finally, no longer 100% on his command throws.
Oh, it didn't connect. Oh, unfortunate. That's, I believe Mono wants that to connect there. Okay, nice, yeah. Yeah, the jumps from Mena are just at timings and spacings that clearly Mono's not expecting. But part of why he's not expecting is that they're unusual. So right, this is supposed to connect. Then you get an up ball afterward, I believe is the combo, and then you can have a setup side to side, tricky stuff like that. He was just a little bit too far. So Mono had the anti-air, and then Mena jumped almost immediately after that, and that time it did work. And again, that's classic bulldogging style. That's classic character who doesn't have explicit option to just bully his way in, right? Doesn't have like a guaranteed special move or something to get in. Classic walk block. Look for a whiff punish, jump, right? You're really boiling it down to those options, and so far Mena has made that happen. So he's up 2-0 in this set that I promised you would be close. You may guess what happens next. But, you know, talk about some of the stuff that has happened so far in terms of the strategies. We've really just seen the one from Mena be successful. Mono has tried to keep a certain range that hasn't been super effective for him.
And even there, the challenge for Mena.
Yeah, he has not been getting bullied by a lot of the.
Wow, he was already doing the up one? I think that was started before Mono left the ground. So a little bit more challenging for Mono. He's definitely more buttonsy. He's dashing around a little bit more. We hadn't seen quite as much of that. But now that there is V-Trigger on the other side, he's going to be a little bit more worried, right? So you see fewer buttons from him. You don't see him setting out up balls as much. Mena with the back walk, that's again faster. When V-Trigger's active for Birdie, V-Trigger 1 is just extra movement speed, extra damage. Wow, did he just build it? He did, oh no. Did he build it on that actual hit even? He might have. No, okay. But very, very shortly before that. It's a really good awareness. V-Trigger 2 for Fang, I feel is a little bit underrated. I won't tell you that I think it's one of the best because it goes away quickly, but it does allow him to control space significantly better. It allows him in particular to set up some really gross mix-ups. Really fun side-to-side stuff. Guaranteed pressure situations. It can end up doing a lot of damage. I've seen sequences where, 2 hits into stun, right? Fang has access to that kind of thing in V-Trigger 2. The problem with it is that it goes away quickly. You only get a few uses of whatever special move you want to do. But yeah, I do think it's a little bit underrated. All right, here we go. Former CPT champ Mena RD is up 2 games and a round. It's at match point for him.
And then was ready for what was going to happen afterwards. Like, he's just so experienced.
Yeah, even there, that's a plus frame situation for Fang, and Mena just doesn't respect you.
And it's really gone all Mena RD's way. Even here, even the challenge that came from Mono right there just didn't work out. Can was ready.
Nice. Is it getting out of the corner after that?
A big part of this is how many plus frames Fang has access to. Again, post throw with the medium kick.
That's what we saw Mono get really successful with in that round. He did win, right? He was able to push.
I love that combo because part of the damage that it relies on to get the kill is the overtime poison. So you actually want to be doing things that take a little bit more time rather than like just doing, you know, jump fierce into sleeve or whatever your combo is, or EX mine, whatever your combo is. You want to actually let it take a little bit longer. I think it's cool.
So we'll see. It's worked out.
Okay, so I mean, look, Mono won that not just from zoning or even really because of that, but because he was more active and he went in more often.
Yeah, it seemed like Mena was kind of trying to bait that.
That was really a significant change.
Moving forward just a little bit. Mono's here.
Right, and he is keeping that spot. It's a little bit of a closer spot before anyway. Okay, closer.
Oh, get out the sky. That's my territory.
Oh, he set up his own ground thing and then went in even though Mena has super already.
Just walking up to him after the quick rise.
So once Mena gets into a certain range, he's going to be threatening with activation into V-trigger. Mono knows that.
Yes, it's the knockdown. Oh, he's
right, here we go.
got everything.
I mean, he's maybe one hit away, honestly, right now from taking it. Oh, we blocked just in case of super. Oh, that's no cancel, though. I bet I know what happened there. I don't remember noticing this at the time. But check this out. Look at that bar down on the bottom left. That's a full super. Mono then does a little bit later, I guess, about here. Yeah. That was absolutely super from Mena RD, and he did not get it. And I don't think that would have killed, but, you know, at that point, you're one mix-up away from winning for sure. And, boy, he could have taken this in a 3-0. He absolutely could have.
He did this time just in case.
So like David said on commentary, game to Mono, and what are the changes? You know, what's different here? Well, you know, again, this is not a matchup where the two players are playing against each other for the first time or playing a character matchup they're not familiar with. In those cases, you oftentimes see big swings in terms of like novel strategies that come mid-set. You know, you may see an adaptation that's like, oh, I hadn't thought about this before, but what if I do X and then X wins? Like that's not an uncommon thing among player or character matchups where there's less familiarity. But in a case like this, where the players know each other and their characters so well, you're not going to see a big swing. It's not going to be the case that one player has a totally different style. They basically know each other and what to do. So a lot of this is down to little things. It's down to little things like where precisely are you standing? Are you standing in Fang medium punch range? Are you standing at down forward fierce range? Or are you a little bit farther where you want to set up a V skill, but in which case Birdie can set up his own V skill? You know, or are you going in a little bit more when it comes down to simple mix-ups like stand roundhouse +1 into jab or into another roundhouse or some turn stealer. It comes down to smaller decisions oftentimes.
That pressure, right?
We've sort of at neutral. He's made his opponent press fewer buttons here and there.
Again, I said earlier that
using the
V skill really does add up.
5-frame medium kick to just get through some situations.
Yeah, really
Fang has got such... His buffs that they've given him over the seasons have added up to a character that's pretty good. Not great. Pretty good, though. But what's funny is that almost all of them have been weird ones. Like, they've all been, like, something you didn't think about. What if you could fly? You know? What if the second hit of stand medium kick was cancelable? Like, you know. There's that empty jump rather than jump medium kick, jump medium punch, jump roundhouse, which are the ones we've seen so far.
Talking about right there, that neutral situation has been super useful for Mono.
Walking up and blocking can as soon as possible. Just remove it from the stage. Yep, down forward fierce at a certain range. So Mono's doing a great job of hanging on to a very specific spot.
Mono just needs one more hit. Oh, but you gotta be always concerned.
Yeah, back to the neutral game.
Oh, interesting choice. Wow, that actually caught his back. Caught the fat fold on his back. So let's go back. There were a couple things to talk about here. I really like this range where Mena jumped from. I think that might have been it right there, actually.
His opponent press fewer buttons here and there.
Again, he jumps from a range where if he presses a button, he can connect. If he doesn't, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, really smart. And now Mena, you can see a little bit more hesitant about pressing certain buttons here, but still trying to remain active on the ground.
I think oh, okay, that actually was the anti-air. Or air-to-air is really what I should say.
So he needs a reverse 3-0 now, but he's proven that he could take it.
Oh, it's still burning. Is there going to be a cross? Is he even going to try now? Okay.
A little bit too far for that. Okay, I think it
A
comes...
lot of respect to Mena at that
I think it
point.
comes here. Yeah, okay. So if there had been a button there, if that had been jump medium kick, jump medium punch, roundhouse, then that down medium kick probably would have worked for Fang as an anti-air. It's got a really good anti-air hitbox. After that, it's Fang's turn. It's a nice anti-air. You've seen stand medium kick be used as well. He's got some good anti-airs down fierce, so he's definitely got some stuff. But because of this weird jump arc that Birdie has and his different jump options in it, he can make that whiff, and when he does, he actually gets a whiff punish. So, you know, if that had been Time Was, I guess not really effective anymore, but characters who had anti-air jabs, landing and then trying to whiff punish is not great. But they have, SF5 designers have mostly made it so that your anti-airs are mediums and heavy buttons. And so most of the time now, if you do an empty jump, land, and the opponent had tried to anti-air, you can usually actually get a whiff punish. That's an important tech, again, important bulldogging tech that Mena relies on. Again, stand medium kick after the throw tech. And again, it's not the case of Mena not knowing that that's a thing. Even if he didn't, he'd already know because it's happened, I think, 5 times at this point. Just a question of, is Mono going to do it again? That's the only question. And so far, I think he has every time, or almost every time. And every time he's tried it, he has beaten whatever button Mena's trying to do. I think crouching jab has been his go-to, probably. That's Birdie's typical go-to after throw attack.
Much more fitting for his play style, much more successful for his character.
Right, medium punch is there. Stand jab, though, from Mena.
Yeah, his ability to walk forward and find exactly the right moment to find a hit is
Again, stand medium kick. Again, wow. He's just getting that every time. Oh, okay, we'll go back and talk about that. That's the moment.
Situation where, no, okay, he's gonna hang out. Yep, there's the anti-air again. That's been really consistent for Mono.
Ooh.
Oh,
that's gonna be that. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so let's go back and talk about this moment. Because again, like I said, I think in the matchup like this between people who know each other and their characters well, this is really often what it comes down to more often. So throw tech comes. Mono has done medium kick so many times, I don't know, after throw techs. And he's beaten out the stuff that Mena's trying to do. Well, Mena finally, again, it's just a set of mix-ups. He knows the options already. He finally decides, okay, you've done it almost every time. I'm going to hang on. I'm going to hang out. And instead what he gets is he gets Mono to commit to medium kick and then whiff punishes with his own button. So this is a super important tool. This is something that is in every fighting game. If there's a situation where the opponent is committing a lot of the time and they're beating the button or whatever tool you're trying to use, wait for them to do it and then whiff punish, right? And this is now what we see from Mena.
Oh, whiff punish from Mena, huge.
Yeah, that was a situation where, Mena's, no, okay, he's gonna hang out. Yep, there's the anti-air.
So you can't say that that moment was why, Mena then gets in and gets the kill. If that hadn't happened, it would have been a different situation, of course, but it's not like one led directly to him taking the round. Instead, as I've been saying, a matchup like this is going to be more about those little decisions more often, and that was one of them that led to Mena getting the corner and finding this. So let's... Right, great jump timing yet again. His jumps have been amazing. Mono has teched. Mono has pressed buttons. He's been a little bit more active over the last couple of games where he's been taking rounds more. And so, okay, Mena, instead comes up there, got the roundhouse crush counter. It takes the round. He's at match point yet again.
Doing his best Kevin Nash impression.
Yeah, he can still get the anti-air in time. That's so cool. So now that there's a super... Really? Is that... Okay, we'll go back and look at that moment. That's very interesting.
So smart. What a reaction from Mena RD here. Again,
Mono just outside those ranges. So he's doing... Yeah, dashes forward immediately, hoping to deny. Probably a can setup may have been an idea.
Feels like it, even as a lot of the time he is backing off.
Yeah.
Like you can tell
that might be punishable,
he
yeah.
does not feel confident in some of these neutral situations.
Nice, he got the knockdown and caught the buzz.
Oh.
And then Mena trying to jump as well. You can see the activity.
Great harassment by Mono. So at the beginning of this round, he had been a little bit more rangy. Now he's absolutely not. And makes his opponent come off of V-trigger. That's huge.
That's gonna start his game up, but disciplined defense from Mono right there. Knowing that it wasn't close enough to get the throw, so he just takes the fear.
Right, yeah, at this point you're not going to get trigger. Might as well just use the red bar for other stuff.
When V-reversal again from NRD, knew he was too far away for the V-trigger. So
It's still there. Yep.
Yes, but not quite there for the follow-up. Can he get a hit on this? No, not there either.
Oh, he jumped
Wow.
the V-reversal afterwards. My goodness, it's just staying alive, barely whipping up.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great round closer for sure. Crouching short. A lot of cool stuff in this round right here. Let's go back and just watch that. That was really cool. So again, right, at the beginning of this round, it was a little bit more about rangey stuff from Mono. I think you can really see what the intention is here in terms of him keeping a specific space in how he reacts to Mena and Mena's movement. So Mena backdashes, right? He immediately then sees Mono forward dash. It's a classic sign from both player sides about what spacing they want and how to get there. So Mena would like a rangier place to get a can out. He would like to be at a spot where he could whiff punish or where he could just ideally be point blank, but that's not immediately available right now. So instead he backs off, threatening to put out can, and then, you know, now he can move forward, or maybe he can force Mono to come off resources, or maybe he can make Mena make a bad decision, like whatever. Oh, sorry, Mono make a bad decision, whatever it may be. But he then sees immediately that Mono dashes forward and thereby denies the likely can, but also like gives a real tell as to where he wants to be on screen. So I love that Mena immediately dashes forward after that. Look at this movement. You know, you think about a character like Birdie, especially without V-trigger, and you think of him as not being very movement heavy. What is he walks around. He can do a jump with kind of like a far range roundhouse or empty jump. You know, you don't think of him as being very useful for just how he can move. But this is a sign that even with a character like this who does not have a fast dash, if you're playing with your own movement well enough, you can still force movement options from the opponent, and you can actually steal turns. You can steal positioning by dashing forward, which he does. You know, I love that Mena makes Birdie work like that.
He is backing off.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell the way that Mono's playing, he does not feel confident in some of these neutral situations.
Nice, he got the knockdown and caught the buttons from Mena, and then Mena trying to jump as well. You can see the activity on defense continuing to be very high.
Mono is hunting for that.
Yeah,
stun.
plus frames. So now at this point that there's been a V reversal, Mono's gonna be less. Well, you're less worried in general. You don't have the risk of this very fast movement coming out of Birdie. We just talked about how Birdie, even without that, can be affected, but with it, obviously, is more so. So that's not a concern anymore, most likely, for Mono after seeing that V reversal. And what he would love is to see even more of that come off. So he continues pressure. I mean, you want to get the hit naturally, right? You're right up close.
Oh, yeah, he's not gonna get it due to the depletion from the V reversal, but Mena are they thinking by using the EX?
But yeah, the EX right there.
Game up, but disciplined defense from Mono right there. Pressure.
Oh, it's here. Yeah, it's here. Okay, so look at his character movement. You see how his character's going back and forth, 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 back and forth. What is that? Well, when I initially saw that, I thought that might be him like pumping a super motion. Usually when you see that, it's not just the opponent moving, it's also them inputting something. And if they see whatever they want to see, they then press the buttons to activate it. He's just probably doing half circle here. And when he sees that Mono does, you know, V-skill, a laggy button, whatever it may be, he goes for the whiff punish. So that's a range where Birdie otherwise, let's go back at this spot, right? Otherwise does not have easy, fast access to getting damage. But you can, like this, right? Look at that. It's just, again, really, really strong spacing by Mena. All right, cool. Well, let's now go on to the final game. So it was 2-0 for Mena, and now it's 2-2.
It feels like all the matches have been close and fun and interesting, but in reality, we haven't.
And a lot of why is that it's just been these little choices of, you know, what's the moment when you look for this or that? What's the moment when you try this mix-up or that one? It's not about big strategic adaptations. It's about the little tactics. And I like that a lot. I think that's a really cool thing about a matchup where two people know each other well.
Close set, right? It looked like Mena RD was going to run away with it to start, but no longer. Oh, what a whip punish right there. Mena RD decided to prioritize.
A lot of more buttons, wouldn't you say, from Mena?
Inside that rig, beating to the punch, the jump-ins as well have been paying huge dividends for him.
All right, Mono probably safe on stun now, but it was close. Maybe not, actually. Hold on.
Yeah, starting to build back up.
Yeah, look at how buttonsy Mena is. Way more than before. Look at, yo, what a specific call out by Mena RD. What a very specific understanding of what was likely to come. All right. He just gave Mono V-Trigger. Just gave the 3 bars. By hitting Fang, right? Like that's how that happened. So now, what does Mono most want? Mono most wants to get out of the corner. Mono would also love to V-Trigger activate and steal the turn right away. What's the fastest way to do that? Well, it's with sweep, activate V-Trigger, right? That accomplishes all these goals. It's his turn. He gets out of the corner. He gets a chance to mix up right away. And Mena, understanding that, immediately, right? Immediately understands that and goes up into the sky for like exactly what came up. And what was cool too is that the way he sets this up is not with a button where his opponent would immediately think, okay, I gotta continue blocking. Instead, it's with a series that actually moves his own character Birdie backwards. I don't know if this is what he was thinking at the time, but it ended up working out great. But he presses, this is a pretty common block string. The first part of it could be hit confirm. This part of it just puts you at a range. You're safe. It's cool. But it's not a situation where you're point blank with plus frames again. So he goes right up into the sky. I love this. This is such a good decision by Mena RD. Just knew exactly what was coming from Mono in that situation. So again, it's match point for Mena. It's his 3rd match point of the set.
The exact same read so successfully.
Oh my goodness, so smart from Mena right there.
Ooh, that was just barely there. Oh.
Huge jump in, man. These jump ins have been perfectly timed.
Oh, okay. So the escape of the corner comes this way.
He doesn't get a second to breathe.
Yeah.
Dude, look at the awareness on Mena.
Amazing.
Had the crouch medium, but again, right after the can land and throw range, that means you got to take these.
Huge life lead now at this point. And he's looking for the same thing. So, okay, we'll go back and talk about that. But that was such a gorgeous understanding by both parties. It's still going to be there. Yep. It still lands. When V-Trigger 2 up balls land, they have an extra explosion.
Yes, but still, you can see life dwindling down slowly but surely.
Wow. Yep. Keeping it very safe for himself.
Mena trying to risk some of his jumps again.
Very safe for himself. However, very close now to Birdie getting V-Trigger.
Trying to harass from afar. What a jump safely by Mena RD at that range.
If you're Mono, you would ideally not want to let that happen, but that's not so practical. So, what are you gonna do? Here's the activation.
EX leaves, thought he would be trying to pop off and get close. Man, this poison is really bringing a Mena
Looking for whiff punishes, right? That's what Mena's doing with that medium.
It really is working out.
Into the corner. Oh, it's a punish opportunity. Yeah, and with no meter, he couldn't get a very strong one. Only 14 seconds. Dude. Oh, and then caught the dash without a reaction. He just knew that it was time to take up another button. What a cool round. A lot of cool stuff happened there. All right, let's go back and look.
Same read so successfully.
Oh my goodness, so smart from Mena right there. Just pressing that crouch jab after great sweep punch.
Mono knew he was still at that spacing. Again, there's that jump in that Mena has used so well. Jump roundhouse or nothing. Sometimes jump medium.
Second to breathe.
Yeah.
Look at this. Even there, Mena was ready. Amazing.
So it looks like it's going to be Mena, right? He's got a big life lead. Get a chance for pressure there. All right, this moment I love. This is such a great moment. Think back to what we were talking about at the end of the previous round where Mena, knowing what Mono would like to do best, goes up into the sky and lands with a punish on Mono's sweep. Well, very, very similar situation. That was even a crouching jab beforehand. Right away, Mono is waiting, Mena up in the air. And Mena, again, wants to see sweep activate. That's what he's looking for here. If it's right, if he's right about that, then he wins the round, he wins the game, he wins the set, he moves on to grand finals in winner's set. Well, Mono knew, oh no, please encoding. Mono knew. And so he waits, and look at this very precise range. He waits, and then he gets the Landsies punish, right? What a very fast, again, this kind of match between these players who know each other so well is not about like grand changes and big adaptations. It's about moments like this of being read one time and then instantly making the right read the next time. And that's exactly what Mono does here.
Okay, so
And that
wait for
starts
Mena
this
to jump first.
long
Oh,
comeback,
counter
but, you know,
adaptation
comeback that
right
was
away.
successful.
Those will hit.
Yeah, definitely.
Super, super
Mono
cool
was able to get some
interaction
distance
between
back,
these two
but
players
still,
there.
The poison is taking on Mena RD. EX, but still, you can see life dwindling down slowly but surely. Oh, and he actually defeats that anti-air with a big cross-up. No combo
Couple of stolen
afterwards.
turns. The stand jab and roundhouse is, of
Mena
course,
trying to get
not
some of his jumps again. They've been paying
super
off so
real,
well.
but
Mono
situation
setting
where
up
Mono
EX.
was willing to take the
Trying
risk
to
of Mena
harass from
staying still.
afar. What a jump safely by Mena RD at that range. He's been good at. This is trigger available for him now.
All right, let's go later on. I want to see this moment where,
And really need to come in.
yeah,
Build the
right there,
quad.
that
Give it
moment right
time
there.
now.
So what
19
happened? So here's a slight punish, right? Fang just doesn't get very credible stuff at that range, especially without meter.
opportunity. Mono doesn't get a
Down jab. I think. Let's see. Oh, walks away. Hold on.
Refresh the poison as well. You got it
Down
in the
forward
row.
fierce. And then crouching strong. This is such a good stolen turn by Mono. So let me get the exact frame data on here, but down forward fierce is minus. And then I want to say that crouching strong is a 6 frame button, but let me get you the precise numbers just so we know. So crouching strong is 6 frame button, yes, and then down forward fierce is -5. Okay, so that's an 11 frame gap right there. Mena blocks the down forward fierce and thinks, okay, well, it's not your turn. It's not Fang's turn for sure. But I bet what Mono's looking for after that is what? A stand strong, a crouching jab? Like what? Let's get the specific spot here. Down forward fierce at here. Yeah, this specific spot. That even is like maybe jab punishable or short punishable or something. Probably not into a lot of damage. So Mena expects Mono to expect a counterattack, a punish, maybe even a walk forward and slower button. But he does not expect Mono to expect a dash. And so he tries to steal this huge turn. And Mono shut it down right away. So to do down forward fierce into crouching strong, and of course, you're holding on to rush punch just in case. Wow, super interesting interaction between the two. What a time to steal that big turn. Like they both had it in their minds. Time to steal the big turn, right? Mena thinks I'm stealing the big turn by dashing, and what's dashing command grab maybe? I don't know. Dash though is the stolen turn. And Mono thinks, well, I gotta steal the big turn because if I don't, Mena's gonna do something and I'm gonna die. And this is, that had been Mena's round win, the set would be over.
Oh, and a great challenge when he went into the coward crouch.
Oh, look at its forward movement. It's very intensively forward. Yeah, even here, the big startup on coward crouch into kick, but it is plus frames.
Mono hanging on in this mid range.
Yeah, and look at that V-skill poison damage doing legit. Yeah, it's legit. It's actually adding up. That's up to 50 damage at a time. And it takes a while, but like it can end up being a substantial portion of life taken.
Yeah, look at this, man. He is building the gray life on the side of Mena as well.
So after that really sudden burst, Mono has been a lot more patient. Mena RG's got a huge amount of gray life. Yeah, you see how much damage that did right there? Mono's just playing this so well. Hanging on to a specific spot. Well, okay, so that the activation point didn't create the big mix-up that Mena wanted. And now it's a question of him using that extra mobility and damage. Right. We haven't seen that in so long, and the last time was not even a guess, it was a reaction. Ooh, boy, that could have been gnarly.
Does take down Mono from the sky, and he gets the command throw. That's mad damage. Puts him on life support here. Magic Pixel away.
Looking for the closer. Light kicks, medium kicks. It's gonna land on it. Yeah.
10 seconds on the clock as well. Blocks the jump and gets hit by the poison, but doesn't convert off of it.
Dude, this was such a close matchup. This was a fantastic match between these two. So much cool stuff to talk about. We won't go all the way back to the beginning, but the beginning was Mono really starting out fast, pressuring well, getting Mena RD down half-life like really quickly, and then, not exactly zoning, you wouldn't call this zoning, but like keeping a specific spot on screen, keeping a spacing at least.
And a crouch light kick doing
Again, you know, and again, the poison damage after that does add up into legit stuff, right?
But just comes up empty-handed.
Mono trying to keep that distance. Here comes Can. Blocked as early as possible by Mono.
So, right, so finally we see this mix-up EX Dolphin. I don't think we had seen mix-up EX Dolphin. We had seen on reaction, but this is just him being like, well, I don't think Mono's going to expect it. And he was right. And my guess is that he saved that for the last round. You know, having thought, well, dude, we're how many rounds into this thing at this point? We've spent, you know, 15 minutes of gameplay time at this point playing against each other. You're probably not thinking about it anymore. And he was right. So saving an important tool for an important situation. That right there, I feel like that's such a key moment. That actually might have been the moment where Mena, you know, it was possible to win at that point. If Mono had found that, that probably would have been the victory for him. What he wanted here was Mena to not do something right away. That was roundhouse starting up. Let's go back and check it out. So he does medium kick in the air, right? And what he wants is stand roundhouse. You can see the beginnings of it right here. He gets thrown out of it. Oh boy, that's so close. That's so close. Oh, this is actually a couple of frames away from Mono's stand roundhouse counter hitting against Mena RD's attempted throw, or throw tech really is what he's trying to do, but it turns out as throw. And if that had counter hit there, that's an easy hit confirm, and it's the end, right? This is Mono moving into Grand Finals winner's side right here. Oh, it's, what is it, 1 frame away? Oh, it's so close. Dude, that looks like it's 1 frame away from hitting right there. Unbelievable. So close. That situation, you know, it's a recent change that began in this season, but it would be nice to be looking for that. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But out of air movement, like Fang Fly, Rashid, Wall Jump, Dawson Flow, you know, there's several others. Out of those, if you knock the opponent out of that, they're counter hit out of it, and they get put into a juggle state. So this could have actually been Mena doing down strong into like basically whatever. Instead, the meaty lives by an actual single pixel. A single pixel is left for Mono. Right, okay. Right here. What happened? This is jump strong from Mena. Mono blocked in time. The explosions are happening on the ground. Mena actually gets hit by the explosion residue. Mono didn't think that was gonna happen, and so he went for grab. He went for grab because he thought that Mena was not going to be in hit stun. He thought Mena was just going to be there. And so Mono just didn't quite recognize that situation, that the up ball explosion, the after explosion on the ground would be there still. And Mena, you know, maybe just was pressing light kick. I don't know if he reacted to that. Doesn't seem likely to me. He's probably just pressing it. It's a good option to press, but wow, that moment right there. And look, is that a kill? Does Mono win if he gets the grab here? It's like right on the margins. I would say yes. I would say this is enough damage if he had gotten the grab for him to win. It's literally the last decision, and I think it works because Mono thought that the up ball explosion would be gone, and it wasn't, and that's, you know, I think it's very fitting though. I mean, very fitting in the sense that a matchup between two players who know each other really well, who know the character matchups really well, will go down to that very final decision. Is it a decision even? It's a mistaken situation, I guess. You know, Mono doesn't quite recognize. Or maybe even it's that Mena doesn't even really recognize. Like, if you go back and look at this, I feel like this could be either way. It's so fast. It's so fast. Did he see Mono whiff the grab? I don't even know. I almost kind of feel like Mena was just doing a light kick, and that happened to work out. Whew. Boy, what a set between these two. Great set. All right. Well, let's head back to the press box. So again, very interesting set between the two players. You had a lot back and forth in terms of these little decisions. Again, it's not the kind of matchup where you see big changes. Those are fun to watch too, right? Those are fun to play also between players who don't know each other very well, or between players who don't know their character matchups very well. Then you see like mid-match adaptations that are really big. That's not just, it's not going to happen in a matchup like this between players who know each other and the characters very well. Instead, it's fun to watch because you see these little changes and the little decisions and the accidents and the mistakes and all those little things add up into being a super, super close set between two very, very top level players. Really cool. After this, Mena actually got back into Grand Finals through loser's side. Mena won the tournament. I believe Grand Finals first set was 3-1 for Mena. So he took it in a more convincing fashion there. But as I mentioned earlier, the previous time they played in EVO finals, EVO Online finals for their region, EVO Online third place match, actually it wasn't finals, because Mono didn't win EVO, but it was, I think, third place match if I recall correctly. Mono won that in conclusion, 3-0 versus Mena RD. So Mena then thought about it. You know, it turns out he, or however had this happen, but Infiltration flew into the Dominican Republic and Mena was training up with Infiltration. Because I asked him after this, there's an interview after the Grand Finals. It's like, how are you training for Fang? There's one Fang player in the region, and he's one of the best Fang players in the world. How do you get matchup experience that's not Mono, right? Like, how do you experiment with stuff that Mono doesn't know about? And I mean, because there are some Fang players in North America. There's Fang players in Europe. The dude imported Infiltration from the other side of the world. You know, I mean, and hey, it worked out. It worked out for him. So again, really cool set between the two. A lot of fun to watch Street Fighter V. The matchup between the two characters is so unusual. You just don't see it very often, especially at this high level. So I thought that was a real cool one and very much worth looking at. All right, well, that's going to be it for us up in the press box. It's getting pretty toasty up here. Gotta wipe this brow. Let's head back to David on the field. Thanks a lot to David up in the press box for doing the match analysis. A lot of fun to hear that, especially with the different perspectives that we got from the commentators who did that live. Obviously, we were looking at this as a replay, but UltraDavid, I believe, was the commentator. I think that's his name. And Ringe was with him, too. So, you know, cool to see them doing their thing, too. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching Monday Morning Quarters back here. Monday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific time, watching recent match footage, as always. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you next time.